This week we review Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios. From Tampa, Florida, this is Sunshine State of Mind.
Welcome to Sunshine State of Mind. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Andy.
Wow, this is it, man.
So we've been doing this podcast for about a year and a half now, all over the normal podcast places, but we finally decided to throw this up on YouTube. So if you just found us for the first time today, welcome. Go back and listen to all our old shows.
If you're listening to us on your normal like iTunes or Google Play or whatever,
then you know the drill.
But also check out YouTube, because we're going to actually add in some video to the YouTube experience.
Some visual aids to show you what we're talking about.
Because this week we did something that we have been looking forward to for so long. We went to Galaxy's Edge.
Finally, the long-awaited Galaxy's Edge at Disneyworld Hollywood Studios opented.
I thought it would never happen.
We've been kind of talking about it over the past year at least, since it's been being built.
Thing that I was saying too is like, I feel like I think we said last week that I feel like we're like the last people to see it, but we're totally not. Like, I mean, I know we're some of the first people to see it because like the whole world still wants to see it. But I mean, I guess in like the podcasting world and the YouTubing world, it seemed like everybody had seen it except us.
In the grand scheme of things, we're still one of the first people.
We're pretty early.
We have the Florida resident season passes, and it feels like everybody who had like the more expensive, like the high roller passes got invited.
Yeah.
But we're on
a budget.
We have the cheap, Florida resident blackout.
As you can tell
pass.
by our little home set
It's
here.
Do you like our set? We spent dozens of dollars on this.
That's right. So anyway, we did that this weekend twice.
We didn't go opening day because we're not that crazy.
And I'm so glad we didn't.
Well, when it opened up, we saw that the ride Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run had a 300-minute wait.
Yep.
We saw pictures of it just looking like wall-to-wall, crazy packed with people by the time it opened up at 6 a.m.
Yes.
So we decided...
I saw one guy had like a... I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was photos or video, but he had video. It was dark outside. And it was just miles of people waiting to get in. And it was just like a mass of humanity moving in.
It did look fun.
That's totally what I imagined it was going to be like.
I thought it was going to be like that on Friday too.
I did too. So we went on Friday, the Friday after it opened, and it was like a ghost town. I mean, granted, we didn't get there right when it opened. We got there at late. We got there at like 6:30.
We got there at 6:30. We got up at the butt crack of dawn. We live in the Tampa area. We got up really early. We drove over there. We got there at 6:30.
Early for us.
We're night owls. We're not morning people.
We're not morning people.
But at least I'm sure not. So we decided to get out there as early as we could, 6:30, and I thought we were going to be dealing with a madhouse.
Yeah, and it was like we were walking in. I have a picture actually that I'll add in right here.
Okay.
That of us as we're approaching. It was funny. Andy had like an actual, like, I mean, I don't mean an actual funny joke.
I'm actually funny now and then.
You're funny all the time, but I mean, like, when you're married and you've been together for a long time, it's not as often that you're like laughing out loud at something someone says. But we were walking into that like big entrance over by Muppet Vision.
Right. It's between the, if you haven't been yet or you don't know where it is, if you know where Muppet Vision is, the entrance to Galaxy's Edge is to the right of that.
So that's where we're entering through, and we're walking, and there's, I mean, maybe 15 people
There was
around.
very few people
I mean,
there.
It was so, like, I mean, I'm going to post a picture, and you're going to be like, no, you're going to count, and there was 25 or something, but there wasn't a lot of people.
Way less than we were expecting.
And it was so funny. There's like all these cast members along the way, and they're like, welcome travelers. That's their big thing, is they say, welcome travelers. You're a traveler. And Andy looks at one of them and says, this is the way to Muppet Vision, right?
Muppet Vision 3D, right? And he goes, yep, right over here. And it made me think. The park was already open for about 30 minutes at that point, and you were looking at the little Fast Pass app, and you could see Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, 5-minute wait.
Yeah.
Tower Terror, 5-minute wait.
Yeah.
Slinky Dog, 5-minute wait, because everybody was at Galaxy's Edge, and there wasn't even that many people in the park. But
no,
we walked through, and I was really surprised. It did get a little more crowded as the day went on. When we got there. They told us that the Millennium Falcon ride, Smuggler's Run, was a 105-minute wait, I want to say, at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So we explored a little bit. One thing I was surprised by was that and it's actually a cool surprise, a pleasant surprise, they kind of hide the Millennium Falcon way in the back.
Yeah, you have to kind of like, it's like winding your way through the land, and it's set in, if you don't know, it's set in Batu.
Batu, which is a fictional planet. Well, all of the planets are fictional in Star Wars, right? Unless Hoth is real.
Unlike Tatooine.
Unlike Tatooine's real. I can see it on my solar system map. No, it's not in any of the movies, so they sort of, I guess they take a little creative license, or they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, and it's so well done. It looks exactly like a Star Wars, like the original Star Wars too, not like not to get into the prequels and stuff like that, but you know how the prequels had a very different look to it than the original Star Wars.
It feels like the original trilogy or the newer ones.
Right. So, my computer is telling me to
restart now to stay supported.
That would be a bad idea. So anyway, go on.
Yeah, you walk through there. Let's kind of take a little tour as our impressions as we first walked in. Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, because your computer did a thing.
I know.
So you walk in, and I was expecting to see the Millennium Falcon right there. I was expecting it to be like this great grand entrance, this crazy first impression when you walk in. But you first walk in, and it's a little subtle. You see some ships off to the left and right, some X-Wings, some speeders.
Also some like garbage. Like, I mean, that sounds horrible, but like, you know, by garbage, I mean like some disassembled droids kind of like here and there.
It's very well themed. It looks aged. It looks aged. It looks like a cross. It's Batu, which is a planet that's not really any of the movies or shows to my knowledge.
It has like blaster shots in the walls and, you know, different things everywhere. I mean, it's like there's so much to see.
We walked in, we saw Chewbacca dealing with some crowds. We saw Rey, or a cast member dressed as Rey, and people were hanging out and taking pictures. Then
I don't think I saw a cast member dressed as Rey.
Yeah, Rey was hanging out with Chewbacca right at the front.
Oh, I saw Chewbacca. I didn't see Rey.
And then Chewbacca went off to like pretend he was like fixing some stuff.
Yeah, well, I saw him getting very irritated with something, and he was like pushing some buttons, and then he started smacking it like Chewbacca does.
Yeah, he was like getting all.
Yeah, so we're walking through.
We're kind of taking in the sights. We're looking around. Like, this is really, really cool. We're seeing like old speeder parts, droids. The garbage cans look like droids.
They do. It's all done so well.
All the cast members are like in super, super character. People will walk up to you. Yeah. They're not like ride. They're not cast members where they're like working on a ride or a.
Well, some of them are. So, like, the ones that are on the ride are there to help you. And there are people there, too, like, that are, you know, can I help you find something? You know,
And you're always a traveler.
But they're still, like, you know, in the land. But then there are, like, plants. Not implants.
Cast members who aren't like characters from a movie, but they'll run up to you and go, "Hey, have you seen any of those bucket heads running around here?"
Yeah,
and then they'll like pretend they're scared.
Are you guys a part of the resistance? Yeah, you know,
Are you good with a lightsaber? And they'll just walk up to you and kind of be in character. And, and they'll walk up and they'll like talk to you and they'll look around like suspiciously and they'll see stormtroopers walking around and then they'll be like, "Oh, I gotta go." And then stormtroopers will come walking through the area and they'll be like, "This area is under the watch of the First Order." And,
it was awesome.
It's really, really neat. And I guess I first thought that the stormtroopers, and they're just walking around and kind of like treating you like you're suspicious and pointing at you.
Right. Keep walking, citizen.
Keep walking, citizen. And I first thought that the stormtroopers had a bunch of pre-recorded phrases.
Yeah.
They'd hit a button and then it would say, but I guess not, because right now, as we recorded this, it's Monday, it's Labor Day, and we're not really going to spend any time talking about it, but there's a hurricane. We've been under like a hurricane watch basically for the last week.
Right.
And a couple of the stormtroopers were up top looking down at us and they said, I overheard some of the citizens talking about some sort of weather warning. And I'm like, well, that's pretty pretty on the nose.
That's funny.
One stormtrooper,
not funny.
He pointed right at me. I'm shooting up. I've got my camera and I'm pointing up at him and he points right at me and he goes, I know what you're up to. And he turns to the other stormtrooper. He goes, find out what he's up to. I was like, that's hilarious. There's these huge, did you hear the speakers that are kind of buried behind the mountains and things that...
Yeah, of like ships taking off and
stuff.
So
you'll hear this huge, like
cool.
Imagine Dolby 5.1 surround sound like on steroids.
Yeah.
So you'll be standing there just walking around and you'll hear this like ship flying across the entire
and it really sounds like it too.
Land,
it's like you look up expecting to see something flying overhead.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. Even I wanted to show you this was something neat. Even you might have seen the blue drinks and the blue milk, the green milk, that's themed. The food is all themed. Like there's a place called, I think it's Rontu Roasters, where there's this droid spinning like some kind of
Yeah, some like giant
space
pig,
cow thing.
Space pig
and
head.
he's roasting it on a
Spit.
speeder. Yeah, but the engine is cooking it.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And it's like an old speeder or some kind of ship engine is cooking the meat. And it's in a restaurant, so you can kind of smell food. And one thing that I just loved, and people are grabbing these and collecting these, is the Coke bottles everywhere are themed like these
thermal detonators.
Yeah. So everywhere they've got Coke, they've got Sprite, Diet Coke. So people were buying these and hanging on to them as souvenirs or drinking from them or whatever. They're cool.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I thought was completely ridiculous was the TSA sent out a news release saying that these are not going to be allowed on planes. They said that even any sort of...
But then it got canceled,
It did get canceled. They thought that even a explosive that's a fake or a replica explosive is not allowed on a plane.
It's a little over the top.
And I'm like, this is a replica of like a fictional explosive.
Well, and it's wrapped in Coke.
It's wrapped in Coke. And
Coke paraphernalia or whatever.
I guess if it's full of liquid like this, you can't bring it down a plane anyway, but if it's empty...
Don't shake it. I feel like it's going to explode.
It's going to explode. It's a thermal detonator. It might explode. But then they went ahead and rescinded that, I should say. Rescinded that, and they said, okay, guys, we're stupid. You can bring your empty thermal detonator Coke bottles on the plane.
Well, I had a friend from work actually text me and say, I wonder if it's a Disney publicity stunt kind of thing.
Oh yeah, tell the people, hey guys, these are gonna be banned on planes. You can't bring them.
Right.
We better hoard them. We better buy them all. But
no, it wasn't.
Then they went and rescinded that. Now, we were just talking about the weather warning that the stormtrooper mentioned. I heard the citizens talking about some kind of weather warning.
Yeah.
I wonder if the fact that there was kind of a perfect storm of stuff that happened this weekend.
Perfect storm?
Maybe a perfect storm. Hopefully it's not a perfect storm. As of right now, while we're recording this, it's looking like it might run up the coast and not hit Florida. But
yeah, we're hoping it doesn't because it's a scary storm right now.
When we were there, though, Orlando was definitely within the cone, and I'm wondering if it was a combination of a lot of people saying, you know what, it's going to be super crowded, we're not going to go the first weekend, and waiting a few weeks to show up and check it out. Plus, the storm might have made people cancel plans because the day it opened, it was crazy, but we were there.
I think maybe it was the storm because the storm kind of like all the big craziness about the storm kind of started on Thursday and Friday. So
people in Orlando were hoarding food.
I think a lot of it has to do with the storm. But it is very, very surprisingly quiet there right now.
I wouldn't say quiet. It's definitely busy, but it's like it was no more busy than Toy Story Land.
What you would expect, though. No, it was way busy. I mean, way less busy than Toy Story Land. Toy Story Land had like 300-minute waits and stuff like that. And the first day it did, but then second day it was 90 minutes, 105 minutes. Even still, today it's like 90 minutes.
I'd say it's on par with Pandora when it opened. It's still busy, but the thing is, it's a big area.
I disagree.
It's
because
that's typical.
Because
it's a large area.
If you look at Pandora right now, Pandora typically has 120 to 130 minute wait right now. And how long has Pandora been open? A year and a half?
At least, 2 years, close to 2 years now, I want to say.
But Galaxy's Edge or Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run has a 90-minute wait. I mean, at one point the other night when we were there, it had a 70-minute wait. And that's, I know, an hour, a little over an hour for a ride seems ridiculous to some people, but that's not bad at all.
Well, we're not in summer anymore, so it's all the summertime vacation kids aren't here. There was a hurricane, kind of thinking it was coming, and maybe people were scared off. I remember when, I don't remember because I wasn't there, but I guess the story goes when Disneyland first opened in California, maybe Disney World too, maybe the one in Florida, the very first day, nobody came because
they thought it was going to be
too busy. And so the second day, everybody was there.
Huh.
But the first day here, it was crowded. The second day, it was busy. Maybe people were waiting.
I don't know. But I was just, it was so cool to be there. I will say it was really hot.
It was very hot the first day.
And it's like, it was the kind of thing where I was walking around and they have this, they have the Disney Play app that they have interactive elements throughout the park. And throughout Galaxy's Edge, apparently there's different things that you can do to like interact with doors and like antenna and different things that you can do. So I wanted to do some of that stuff, but it was so flippin' hot that like I was like, I can't.
You lose patience with trying to figure out what to do.
You get so hot and you're like, I got to get inside to somewhere.
Similar feeling to the Harry Potter stuff where you wave the wand and the windows do.
Yeah, but
you don't have to buy.
Not as cool because you don't have a wand.
Well, you also don't have to buy a wand for $30 or whatever.
I know, but I mean, there's something. First of all, you don't have to buy the wand, but if you want to do the interactive stuff, you get the wand. You know, you actually do spell, and they're like reading the way that you do things.
Sure.
I mean, that's next level interactive. I think.
Where here, there's an app that you just download and you can interact with stuff.
Yeah, and you play like a little game, and then it turns an antenna on or whatever. You know,
and keeping with the theming, they don't call it go to your iPhone and download the app. They call it use your data pad.
Yeah, your data pad. Yeah.
And whenever you buy something, you're not using dollars, you're using credits. Credits. Because when I bought this Coke,
it was 18 credits.
This Sprite, well, it wasn't 18 credits for one. It was 6 credits and $6. And they said, that'll be 6 credits, please. Like, oh, yeah. See, they're in theming.
Well, it was 18 because you bought 3 at a time.
I wonder what they
have a Sprite, a Diet Coke, and a Coke. I don't know if you can see all of them.
Wonder what the exchange rate is, dollars to credits.
This is the Diet Coke one.
Pesos to credits.
The Coke one, right, and the Sprite.
Funny thing is, the Coke one is the most iconic looking one, but I think the Diet Coke is the coolest looking one.
Well, the Diet Coke is cool because it's all gray with just a stripe of red. And, you know, when you think of a thermal detonator, because, you know, they're real.
Because I think of them all the time.
I would think of something gray. Like most military grade, like explosives are gray, you know. So I think that's why the Diet Coke one looks so much more like a thermal detonator.
It's the neatest looking one.
So anyway, Smuggler's Run.
Let's talk about the ride. So the cool thing is that they keep this kind of in the back. So we were walking through the park and I was looking, where's the Millennium Falcon? I couldn't wait to see it. And we turn and it's hidden way in the back of the land, which I really like. And the land is huge. I want to say I saw a map that said
it's huge.
It's the same size as both Harry Potter lands at each Universal Park and Pandora together, all three of those.
It just keeps on going too. Like you're wandering back in there,
and maybe that's why it didn't feel quite as crowded as it could have because it's a lot of space. People aren't piled on top of each other. Like Diagon Alley at not Hollywood Studios, at Universal Studios can be crowded because it's fairly compact.
And because everyone's kind of in that one hallway.
Everyone's looking up to see the dragon.
Is looking at a dragon. That's blowing fire. So anyway. Go on.
Yeah, there isn't that one spot. Now, the area near the Millennium Falcon, once you finally get back there and turn that corner, that's like this moment.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see in person.
It's nearly impossible to get a picture of the Millennium Falcon and yourself without 800 million people in
it. It's going to be like, if you want to picture the Millennium Falcon all by itself, you have to be a cast member to get there before the park opens because there's going to be 1,000 people. 1,000 people in your shop, which is cool, but it's so neat to see. It is life-size. Millennium Falcon is right in front of you. It's all your childhood dreams come true. It's standing there right in front of you.
If you're if you're a
nerd like me,
or I don't think it's most women's childhood dream.
You were pretty impressed.
I was impressed, absolutely, but it was very cool. But I think the Millennium Falcon was something that more of a boyhood thing.
It's pretty cool, and it launches like steam out from underneath it. It's just water vapor. It's like water steam that shoots out every now and then. It looks like it's blowing exhaust.
You don't know this because we were watching Tim Tracker, who's one of our favorite YouTubers. Shout out to Tim Tracker. We were watching Tim Tracker this morning, and he was showing us that it's part of the app. So when that water, it's like water vapor, but it looks like it's smoke coming out of the Millennium Falcon. So you know how like sometimes in the movies, like smoke comes out after they land or whatever, the base of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it looks like that.
It was water vapor, but it looked like that smoke, and it was. Tim Tracker did it in the video. Like he's like, watch this. Those people are right by, and I'm going to turn on a water vapor. And he did it with the app.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You can do that. That's one of the interactive things. Apparently,
when we go back, I got to download the app because I didn't know that you could do that. I knew there was interactive stuff, but I didn't know you could do that. I just thought it was like randomly firing off.
No,
That's really
it's not.
Cool.
So we got in line, and we got in line for the first time we got in the long line because there's also a single rider line.
Now they said 105 minutes when we got in. It wasn't 105 minutes. It was. I think I didn't keep time, but it felt like it went pretty quick. I want to say it was about an hour. Now,
I don't know.
You got in when it was 105 minutes. I went ahead and shot some video and pictures and came back and met you. Then the line said 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So second day open, granted it was 7 o'clock in the morning, but it was 90 minutes. Later in the day, though, I never saw it go up.
No, it never
maybe
went.
Maybe 105 minutes, 120 minutes, which is still a really long line. But when Avatar opened up, it was like 4-hour wait for like at least the first month.
Right. Yeah. It was. I was surprised that how short the wait was. But so we get in line. The whole thing is very well themed. You're going through like basically what looks like
a space garage,
a space shop. Yeah, like a shop that they're working on spaceships and stuff like that. And you're kind of making your way through. And there's somebody named Hondo. I don't know if Hondo
Okana. Now Onaka. I mean, I've never seen the Clone Wars show, the TV show, the Clone Wars.
Is he in that?
I guess he's a character from that.
Okay.
I thought he was just some dude they made up.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I've only seen all the movies. I've never seen the Clone Wars, so I've heard it's good. I've just never seen it. But he's in that, and once you make it through the line, he gives you a mission. He's like some space pirate, and he gives you the whole spiel, tells you what you're gonna do.
It's interesting that they chose him and not like Chewie. You know,
well, Chewie's in it. He kind of shows up in it
very briefly.
He shows up on your screen and you hear him a little bit.
Yeah, like it's like Hondo's saying something like, just don't mess up the Millennium Falcon, don't
damage the ship too bad.
Don't damage the ship, and then you hear Chewie go, like not in the Chewie voice.
Yep.
So anyway, so you go through, and then
he gives you the spiel.
That you've heard about all of this before, but he gives you a spiel, and then you get in. We go into like this room where it's like the chess room, right?
Well, before the chess room, you go ahead. Earlier, I want to mention the one thing. Before you get into the little chess table room, they ask you how many are in your group, and there's those classic doors at speed, and they open and close real fast.
I forgot about that.
No, it does that.
Yeah,
so before
it's very fast.
Before you go into that room, you get to see one of those like sliding crazy fast doors that make that classic Star Wars noise.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at you, and you looked at me, and we're like, "That was really cool." Just seeing the door fly open and close.
It was, because it was one of those really fast doors where you're like, in the movies, you're like, "Man, somebody's gonna get their arm chopped off with that thing."
It was neat. It was very
cool.
well themed.
Yeah.
And so you walk through there. They ask you how many are in your party.
Yep.
And they hand you a little ticket. And the ticket tells you what do they call it? It was they didn't call it a ticket, like your boarding pass or something.
Yeah,
I forget.
I can't remember.
But they give you a little ticket, and it's got a different color, and the color is the group you're in, and then
it's kind of like Spaceship Earth, because
Mission
Space. They give you like a little ticket that tells you your role and stuff.
You can be the pilot, a gunner, or the engineer, and there's 6 people per party.
Yep.
And then you enter this little room that is a drop dead perfect replica of the inside of the Millennium Falcon. You see that little chess table room.
Yep.
You're looking around, you're seeing little artifacts. You remember that little thing that Luke was fighting when he was training, that little orb thing that was flying around? You see that sitting in the corner.
That was there.
At one point we're hanging out, and the Millennium Falcon siren starts going off with like this red light starts flashing, wah, 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 and one of the cast members goes, someone hit that thing, and they had to go over there and hit a button to like release the pressure or something.
But what you don't know is that I was over, because I think that was during one of the times when we were a single rider, because we went on a couple times. That was one of the times where we were separated because you were in a different party than me, and I was like on one side of the room, and I saw a cast member come over and talk to another cast member, and she goes, hit that button over there, and she goes, the other girl's like, what? And she's like, that button right there, because there was a girl in your group that was having a temper tantrum.
Oh, yes, there was.
So she was like, I don't know, maybe 5,
little girl,
6.
She didn't want to be a gunner. She wanted to be the pilot.
She wanted to be the pilot. She was throwing a temper tantrum, screaming at the top of her lungs, and it's a relatively small space, so it was kind of loud. So this cast member comes over, and she's like, hey, hit that button, to another cast member. And I don't know if that other cast member didn't realize, but she's like, wait, what, this one? And then she hits the button, and then that siren goes off. So it's something that they have to trigger, and it may be like a distractor or just every once in a while kind of like throw in some
take everyone's mind off the kid that's throwing the temper tantrum.
Well, that was the goal.
I thought maybe it was one of those interactive things, like you use your data pad. And
that would be cool if it was, but no, I saw the cast members like discussing turning that on before it was
to distract everyone from the kid.
Yeah. So anyway, but so then you go into like various hallways that lead you to the cockpit.
And this is what I loved about this. So far, it is similar to You said not Spaceship Earth, Mission Space.
Yep.
It's a little bit of a cross between Mission Space and Star Tours. A little bit, this ride. Because you get a job to do. Mm-hmm. You go into the cockpit, and what I loved about this is that you're not in like a huge group. You're only with a group of maybe 6 people.
Yeah, it's 6 people.
So it feels like a kind of a personal, intimate experience. You go into the cockpit, you're in there.
Yeah.
And it's like this perfect replica of the Millennium Falcon cockpit. You sit down, you have to wear a little seatbelt, and then the ride begins. And it's this.
So there, like Andy said, there's 3 different roles. There's a pilot, the gunner, and the engineer. The pilot there's 2 different pilots. There's a pilot that goes up and down. So, basically
up and down and then left and right.
Moves the plane or the Falcon up and down, and then left and right for steering. The gunners are. What do they sound like? They're the gunners.
You're shooting at the TIE fighters.
Yeah, and then the engineers are the ones in the back, and they're the ones that fix everything. And
you're hitting. There's all these buttons.
That you have to hit, and you have to hit them in a timely manner. And at the end, you get a percentage of how accurate you were.
So it's a score game, like a lot of it's a shooter game mixed with
Buzz Lightyear or the Toy Story, in the same way you're trying to get a high score. So depending on it, and you said you saw like online people already giving tips and stuff
there's already like tips on how to do really good on it.
Better, but like engineer I think is the easiest of all.
You don't have a lot to do as engineer and you're in the back.
I don't know. I kind of liked engineer because it's very satisfying. So engineer, the buttons light up, and when the buttons light up, you press the button, and if you don't do it in a timely manner, then you lose your percentage ranking. And then you also like send off these harpoons.
Yeah, the whole mission or whatever, it revolves around stealing something called coaxium from a space train.
Yeah.
So you're flying through asteroids, and then you're flying through like this. Kind of reminds me of that,
like a tunnel,
like that canyon scene from the first Star Wars. You're flying through something like that, and the pilots are trying to maneuver through it. And I hear people complaining that the Millennium Falcon kind of steers like a boat. So when you're going up and left,
I've never been a pilot, so I don't know. Like the one time we all did it together without doing single rider, the kids were pilots.
Yeah.
And
they're running into
disaster.
everything. Yeah. Well, people say it steers like a boat. Like it's not the most. It doesn't have the greatest reaction time.
Yeah, it's not very
but here's the
responsive.
thing. I feel like maybe they did that on purpose because it wouldn't be as much fun if you weren't like banging into stuff all the time. Because you're actually hitting the walls and you're hitting asteroids and you're running into things. And whenever you're doing this, the entire cockpit is shaking and banging and you're getting hit around. And it's a fairly rough ride. It's
it's very bumpy.
It doesn't have the G-forces like Mission Space. It doesn't make you feel motion sick like that.
No, not at all.
But it's bumpy and rocky, and every time you're getting hit with something, you're getting
you feel yourself
around
taking off, and you like lean back when you go into light speed.
Yeah, you go into light speed, and the pilot has to do it. The pilot has to hit that little lever or that little gear, and then you go into light speed. It's so neat, and then you actually feel yourself getting sucked back into the seat.
Yeah, but not so much that it makes you sick.
No,
it's
it's
just
not
like a
like
lean back.
It's not like Mission Space. It's more like
it's pretty. I mean,
Star Tours.
It's pretty bumpy. But like you say, I would compare it more to Star Tours than anything else because Star Tours can be a little bumpy, but it's not aggressive.
But way more, I think it's even more immersive than Star Tours. It's not in 3D.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's got this wraparound dome screen that you're looking at.
Well, and you feel like you're in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
It's so cool.
It so feels exactly like that. So.
And if you come out, one thing to notice when you first walk in, look to your left. It might be on your right, depending on which side you go in. There's like 2.
Yeah, there's 2 different.
There's like some cargo and things laying in the hallway. It's kind of neatly laid there, and then when you come off, it's all spilled and opened up.
Oh, I think I heard about that, but I didn't notice it. Like I noticed. I didn't notice it at first. I was just kind of so into the ride, but I did notice like on the second or third time that we went. How many times did we ride it?
We went on it 3 times.
3 times.
Weekend.
Okay,
yeah.
So the second time. I didn't, first and second time I didn't notice it, but then our son was like, you have to look afterward when you're leaving. There's like lights flickering and all this different stuff. Like the Millennium Falcon's like beat up, it's having problems because of the ride that you just gave. Yeah. So I noticed that, as I was leaving, I did notice like lights were flickering and like there was some like short circuiting things happening over here.
It's really neat, yeah.
But I didn't notice that things were knocked over.
You'll see like some.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like some luggage, some Millennium Falcon space luggage is knocked around.
You're obviously, and I know this, but you're obviously exiting a different exit than what you entered. So,
and what's really great is I love when you exit, you're with your group of 6 people, and you're with your group of 6 people through all these hallways, kind of alone. you're not leaving with a massive amount of people like you do in most rides.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it just kind of feels like you were with this little group of people. It's kind of neat. Like you feel like you just rode the Millennium Falcon with 5 other people. Even though, from what I understand, the best I could see was that there's 7 cockpits or 7 different Millennium Falcon cockpits. It feels like there's more than that.
I think there are 8. Based on the single rider line. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, but there's 2 different paths you can take for single rider lines that lead you to 2 different chess rooms. Basically,
that's what we call the chess room.
Yeah, the chess room where they play chess in the Millennium Falcon. And then from there, there's 2 different hallways that then lead to 2 different doors that have cockpits on them. So I think that there's 8, but you read somewhere 7.
I read 7, but
I could be wrong.
That might be Disneyland.
But my guess is
in California. 8. Yeah.
So
we went on it 3 times. The first time we waited in the full line because we wanted to ride as a family, all 4 of us together.
Yeah.
You and I were gunners. The kids were
pilots, and then some random
people in the back were engineers.
They were like single riders.
We went on it. It said 105 minutes. I think I just said it felt like it was about an hour. It wasn't quite that. Then we got in the single rider line. There is no fast pass for this yet. There is a fast pass station there. You can see they're going to have it in the future.
Yeah, in the future.
No fast pass yet, which is probably why the line moved a lot quicker, because I think fast pass slows the line down for the people who are not fast passers. The
thing to know too about single rider is if you are in the single rider line, you are guaranteed basically that you're going to be an engineer
every time because they fill up the first 5 and they give it to you.
The pilot are the first folks that fill up, then the gunners, and then finally the engineers. So you'll either they'll be like, because a lot of times you'll have parties of 4 or parties of 2, and
then they'll give you they'll party 2, then maybe a party 5. Single rider, you're riding in the back.
It does seem though like more like we did the single rider twice, and both times
it was way quicker. It was 30 minutes the first time, and I think it was like 15 minutes the second time. It said a 130-minute wait, and we got on in 15 minutes. I had a little timer going, so that was great.
But what I was going to say was that both times, like, someone in our party still got to ride with someone else. That like one time our daughter rode with our son, and then another time I think one of us rode with another. So the chances of you actually riding at least with one other person in your party are I'd say 50-50.
Fair, yeah.
So anyway.
Yep. Men in Black over at Universal. It seems like whenever we do the single rider there, we're always riding together anyway with one of us. Yeah,
exactly.
Or Test Track.
Yeah.
Anything that holds 6 people. But the single rider line, if you don't really care about being the pilot and you just want to ride the thing quickly, that's the way to go. You'll be the engineer probably every single time, but they give you a card and you can trade with people if you sometimes. I mean, you shouldn't go, hey man, can I trade with you?
I'll be the pilot.
Someone did do that with me. They
didn't care.
Yeah, some guy rode. He got the pilot and he goes, hey, I don't really care. Do you want to be the pilot? He gave me his pilot card, and I had already been on it twice by now, and I kind of wanted to sit in the back because I wanted to shoot a video for this and our channel. So I gave my pilot card to someone who'd never been on it yet, who got gunner, and so these 2 people were flying it. One thing I will say, I liked the ride more every time I went on it. I liked it more. I liked it the first time a lot.
Yeah,
but I think by the 3rd time. I liked it the most because I wasn't playing the game as much. I was just kind of sitting there enjoying the ride.
So here's my opinion of the ride. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. But the thing is, if you're very into the tasks that you have to do, then you're not going to be enjoying the ride.
That was my thing. I feel like you're hitting these buttons and you're not enjoying the flight.
And it's kind of a choice. For me, for example, the Toy Story ride and the Buzz Lightyear and stuff like that. You have to be watching, what you're doing to get a high score. You have to be aiming for things, so you're actually enjoying the game.
Yep.
In this case, the engineer, for example, you're paying more attention to the buttons than the screen. If you want to get a high score, you have to be paying attention to your buttons, not the actual ride. So I think that's kind of it's a disservice to the riders if they if their priority is the score, which I mean, I'm like super competitive, so
but no one's giving you money for a high score, so I don't really care too much, right?
You don't understand.
You're
it's a competitive thing.
Well, we usually make bets on Toy Story. We're like, whoever gets a high score gets to pick dinner or pick the next ride or something like that.
Right. So if you are competitive, anyway, if you are, I beat you in the last time we went. Remember? You did win the other day. So sorry, I have to again competitive. Yep. So if you are super competitive though, that's kind of a bummer because you're not really enjoying. So I've already made the decision the next time I go, I'm not going to worry about my score. I'm going to focus on the ride.
Now, if you're the pilot, I think it's definitely fun no matter what.
I think the pilot's different because you do have to actually focus on where you're going and steering. So that's like more of an inner, like you're in it. And
you have the best view. You're right up front. The cockpit is around you. When we went,
I haven't had that experience yet.
No, so I haven't been a pilot yet.
I think we should wait in the long line if it's not too bad again, so we can be pilots.
Well, the third time I did it, I was the engineer, and I was shooting video, and I just sat in the back, and I was hitting the button a little bit, just so I was kind of taking part. I didn't want to let my team down, but I was kind of just hanging out with the camera.
Because your score does actually impact the overall score of everyone. So if someone is really competitive and worried about that, then you can definitely let your team down.
You don't want to get that one guy. Some people say being a pilot is stressful because people are yelling at you. Stop banging into stuff, but it's kind of fun to bang into stuff because you're getting jostled around.
Right.
It's part of the fun. But I like just kind of hanging back and enjoying the ride. Then I was like, whoa, this is great. It was a good time. It's great no matter what, but I agree that the more involved in the game you are, the less involved you are in enjoying the ride.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so enough about Smuggler's Run. So we went through some stores. We didn't eat there.
We didn't eat any food except
we did get some thermal detonators.
Except for our thermal detonator Cokes. It tastes like regular Coke. It doesn't taste like space Coke.
Exactly. And we went through some of the shops and stuff. There's some really, really cool shops, interactive, like great, like just stuff to look and see, the kind of stuff that I would really enjoy, like just enjoying the land and experiencing the land if it wasn't so flippin' hot.
It was really hot the first day we were there. We went back the second day.
We went later,
which
was such a good idea.
It's a different experience at night because the mountains and rocks are lit up in like a blue light, and you see tons and tons of people walking around with those $200 lightsabers. I was surprised how many lightsabers they were selling for.
I know.
It looks like a really great experience. You get to go into this shop and you get to create your own lightsaber. You pick your own hilt, the crystal, the color.
And it's not like, the cheap little ones that you can make in
it's a substantial thing.
Yeah, it feels like a real lightsaber.
But it's something like $200.
It starts at $199.
I was really surprised how many I saw at that price. They look great at night. You see all those people waving around. We saw this one family, a family of four. All four of them had a $200 lightsaber, and they're waving around and fighting with them in front of the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, that's really cool. You guys must be loaded. That's really cool.
That's $800 right there.
I mean, you paid $5,000 for your trip, so what's another $800 for a lightsaber?
Yeah, I guess. So anyway, it was a fun time. I highly recommend it.
Check out that store called the Shop of Antiquities, or
that was cool. There was like a line to get in there, but it moved really fast.
It moved really quick. Reminded me similar type of deal to the Nocturnally store.
Morgan and Burke's.
Morgan and Burke's at Universal Diagon Alley. Very kind of similar.
Lots of cool
you're
stuff
walking
to
in
see.
there and seeing these like unique souvenirs and things you can buy. There's like heads on the walls of all these Star Wars animals. There's like Tauntaun heads and wampas, stuffed wampas in there, and kind of neat. Kind of a cool place to look around.
And it was interesting too because our son was like looking at one of them and he thought that one of them was like the what's that animal that was in the garbage chute in
I don't remember. I know what it's
Star Wars.
It's that little snake-looking thing that comes up. I don't remember what it was called. It probably has a name. Someone knows.
Anyway,
the name.
So our son thought that one of the heads on the wall was that animal, and he was saying to me, and then a cast member came up and was like, do you have any questions? And I said, well, is that what is that animal up there? And he went into this long, detailed explanation of what the animal was, where he lived, like what his history was, why people hunted it or whatever. I mean, so much information that was all fictional.
Yeah, they had
it was really interesting.
All these cast members probably had to sit through a class and learn Star Wars lore and history and animal biology of these Star Wars animals, and
it was cool.
Just so they can tell you where a wampa lives.
Yeah,
and it's feeding behavior and all this stuff.
But long story short, it wasn't the animal from the garbage chute.
Okay, yes.
That was anticlimactic.
Anyway, but it was cool. So we had a really good time.
It was great. We're thinking about going back maybe today, right after we record this.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're
not addicted or anything.
No, I mean, it's a holiday.
You're addicted.
It's a holiday weekend. I'm not addicted. You're addicted. Has this become the new Harry Potter for you?
No, there's no such thing as
Shannon's a huge Harry Potter nerd.
Yeah. But it is really cool, and I was having a good time.
See it before. I don't know if it's going to get more and more crowded. My theory.
It'll be interesting to watch the crowds and see if they go up after the storm moves on.
Yep.
Because I think it's pretty cool.
Yep. All right. Is that it? Do we have anything else to say about?
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like this podcast, please support us by giving us a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing us with your friends and family. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, or pretty much anywhere you download a podcast. Another more direct way you can support the show is by visiting our website, sunshinestatepodcast.com, and clicking through on the button that says Become a Patron. It's a safe and secure way you can support the show, and there are different levels, some of which will give you bonus content and even qualify you as an advertiser on the show. There's also an Amazon link on our webpage. If you click through on that link and just make your normal purchases, Amazon gives a commission to the show at no cost to you. You can also follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Our handle is @FloridaPodcast, or search Sunshine State of Mind on YouTube. And be sure to check out our website at sunshinestatepodcast.com. We'll see you next time.